Welcome to the Golf Coach Podcast, Andreas. How you going, man?
I'm doing good, Toby. How are you?
Mate, I'm doing really well. It's really excited to have you on again and catch up. And I saw you post something yesterday, and I said, let's do another podcast. And I woke up the next morning and saw that you took a slot up, and I was stoked to see that, man. So it's really good to have you on. What's been happening with you? What's been going on?
Been busy.
Yeah.
Been coaching. I think we spoke in January. I guess my setup has changed a little bit. I've traveled the world this year,
Yes.
more than I ever have. Seen corners of the world I hadn't been to before,
Yep.
but through golf. So it's been exciting. Met a lot of cool people. Been to some cool events with some of the boys that I've coached since they weren't very old. And just one day grabs the other, and all of a sudden we're in September, and now the weather's turning into crap.
Yes. Well, let's get straight into that, right? So I think it's such an interesting thing, because I asked that before we got on the podcast about how much your life has changed and the way that your coach has had to change due to the nature of, a lot of the success that you and your players have been having lately, right? Like, so when you say that you've been traveling the world now, this is, for people listening right now, this is new to you, isn't it? This was your first year doing a lot of travel, chasing the golfers, is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I've always done not always, but the last 4 years maybe I've done a little bit, right? I've done like a seminar here or there.
Yeah.
I had Marcus who played on DP World Tour, so I'd go with him to Abu Dhabi or to Wentworth or to some event.
Yep.
But I haven't traveled much. And then, like some of these guys start to play really, really well all of a sudden.
Yeah.
It seems like it happens within the blink of an eye, even though it's been an 11-year process.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and then all of a sudden, a lot of people start getting interested in like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
They've invited me over to speak, and some of these guys play events, and I go.
Interesting. So let's talk about so obviously, not obviously, people listening here, you've got it's called the Danish Academy. Is that what we call it? Danish Golf Academy?
Danish Junior Golf Academy
Yeah.
is what I run.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've been there for, what do you say, 11 years?
Yeah, I think I got hired in 2013,
Wow.
I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so, and what people listening to
Feels
this,
like yesterday.
yeah. And what is, so how does the Danish Junior Academy work? Then we'll kind of start there, and then we'll talk about, the growth of the players. How does it work?
Yeah. Well, how does it work? Let's talk about why it was founded in the first place, right? So golf in Denmark is a very accessible sport, which is really cool. I think it might be the second largest sport membership-wise in our entire country. Which is, it's a $100 membership to be a member of the club as a junior golfer. So you can just kind of come, practice, play as much as you want. And part of that is you also get like 1 hour group coaching a week for at least 30 weeks of the year when the weather's decent. The point of that is to retain as many players as possible, right? Get them to have enough, skill to be able to play the game, so they keep being members of the club, and they stay active. One of the issues becomes at the clubs, and I used to be a junior coach as well at a club, is that what you really do is you spend the most time with the kids that don't really want to be there.
Yeah.
So you try to trick them into becoming competent at the game enough so they actually stay. Whereas the players that really they already love the game, doesn't matter the age, you kind of already know that you're gonna retain them. Like they're gonna continue to be members. Now the problem becomes that the way you coach a player who loves the game, who shows up also when there's no practice, who goes to the club when he doesn't have to, thinks about it when he goes to bed at night, every night. And a player who just shows up once or twice a week for scheduled group lessons, you can't really treat them the same.
Yeah.
If you're doing the coaching for I call them the golfers, you'll probably have, out of the group of 10, you'll probably have 2 golfers in every group at most. You're going to lose the other 8. They're going to go like, this is boring.
Yeah.
Like, why do I need to change my grip? Why do I need to do this? Why do I need to do this? But on the other hand, then you have the other 8 who really don't like it, and you kind of have to trick them into thinking golf is fun.
Yeah.
So you play a bunch of games, right? You do all kinds of fun stuff. the two players who want to get really good at it, they're going to look at you and go like, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
So the junior academy was basically founded for those two kids in every group.
Yeah.
For kids who want to be taken serious, who wants to be in an environment with like-minded players. And that was started in, I think, 2006 maybe. So crap, that's been 18 years ago, right?
Yeah.
There's been so many players through that program. Started out being camps, went into becoming like a weekly thing. And that's how it works. Now, inside of that academy, we have approximately, I think we've got about 70 players now.
Yep.
Of all ages, from 6 years old to 27 years old.
Yep.
Who basically were players that started as juniors, but now they're not. Now they're adults
Yes.
or pro golfers, but they're still part of the junior academy. So they're divided into groups, depending on really mostly mindset and some skill set and available hours. When can they practice? And we try to put them in groups where they can practice with like-minded players, more than players that are in their age group or have the same skill set. And as they, continue to grow, we move them through the groups. We always have players that are in groups that are, let's call it like more serious or better. They're always welcome to participate in groups that are less serious or less good. So we have a pretty cool culture of better players always showing up at practices just to get a practice in with players that aren't as good. And sometimes you're super fortunate, right? You'll have an 8-9-year-old player hitting balls next to a DP World Tour pro or the reigning amateur champion or something like that. And all of a sudden you have the players that they would, I guess, what they dream about becoming is right there next to them, know their name, they can see them hit, they can see how they practice, they root for each other, which makes it a lot more, I think it makes it a lot more realistic than it's just like, I want to do that on TV. I can actually, the guy on TV standing next to me.
Yeah, it's cool. And let's talk about, say, for instance, you've got a player in one of those groups. What does their weekly training schedule look like within the junior academy? How many sessions per week?
It depends.
Yes.
So we have I have a group of 7 pros right now that I usually see. They have their allocated time is Monday and Thursdays from 9 to 12 in the mornings.
Yep.
On top of that, they get unlimited feedback, right? So whatever they need, I'm available on the phone, whatever. Then we have a high school group of players that practices Mondays from 2 to 5, Tuesdays from 2 to 4, Wednesdays from 1 to 3, and Fridays from 2 to 4.
Okay.
On top of that, then we have a group. I wouldn't even say below that. We just have an extra group next to that called the national group, which are, some of them are national team players. Some of them are 13-year-olds. They practice every Tuesdays in the summertime from 4 to 7. And then they'll practice in the wintertime. We'll also have an extra practice on Saturdays from 8 to 12 every other Saturday.
Okay.
Then we'll have a Friday group, which is called actually we have a Thursday group as well that practices from 4 to 7 in the evening. Yeah. And then we have we call it the future group, which are these little fun boys and girls that are between 6 and probably 12 years old that are awesome. That we practice with on Fridays from 4 to 7, and then every other Saturday during the winter from 12 to 2. But the cool part is, again, in that order, if you're in a group that is, I guess, above that group, you can also join the next practice. So if I practice with the high school group from 2 to 4 on a Friday, usually there's going to be a couple of guys who goes all right, I've got Andreas for 2 hours, and then I know that there's another practice. They might be smaller, they might not be as good, but they're doing some stuff that I would also like to do, so they might stay from 2 to 7 instead.
Yeah.
So the things will overlap. They'll know it's not their scheduled practice, but they also know that they're more than welcome to join, which a lot of them do.
And let's say within that, so within say one of the national team, the kids there, so you say that group there, when they're training throughout the week, what's their breakdown look like? I know it's obviously each individual person, but do you have a breakdown of technique, skill, challenges. What does that look like throughout the week?
Well, I would say, I don't know. I always find it hard to like divide skill and
Yeah.
technique. Like, isn't that kind of the same?
Well, sometimes we have, like, we could say mechanical technique work, and then we have like performance-based,
Yeah.
skill-based work sometimes.
Okay. I don't know. It's just me. Like, I don't understand the difference, if I'm being honest. Like,
Yeah.
if I'm practicing my technique, it's to develop a skill.
Yes. Well,
And I might practice skills or skills. Let's just say it's like out of my body, like ball flight. It's likely going to change my technique, right?
yeah.
So I think they kind of go together. What I would say is that
Yes.
the thing that we try to divide it into as a starting point, and this is just as a starting point, right, is that we'll say that you have, let's say you've got a 20-hour week to practice in.
Yeah.
So that means you're probably going to practice 5 times a week, and you're going to practice for 4 hours, just to make it easy. I would say that on a daily basis, you should have probably 25% of your practice should be long game, whether that is technique or skill or club speed or performance stuff on a track and whatever.
Yeah.
So that's about an hour of those 4 days or those 4 hours. Then you probably have quarter of your time or 25% of your time would be short game. I would regard short game as like chipping, wedging, pitch shots, bunker shots. Again, I don't care if that is maybe practicing your technique, distance control, bunker shot, whatever. Chipping competitions, I'd put that in there.
Yeah.
And then you'd probably have a quarter of your time would be putting. Putting's putting, right? Then you've got a quarter left, and I would save that quarter for, I'd call that development. So if there's something I need to spend another hour doing, I would do that.
Okay.
But I don't want it to be, okay, I got a swing lesson from my coach, and now I'm going to go to the range and spend my 4 hours on the range, because I'm likely going to improve what I'm practicing. But at the end of the day, then we end up at a spot where I'm hitting it really good, but now I'm not chipping very good, or now I'm not putting as well as I could. So I think there's like a day-to-day thing where I touch on everything.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, there's development.
Yeah.
But the development can't get in the way of me constantly improving these different things.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I know, it definitely does make sense. So, yeah, I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that like people make, especially the recreational golfer, is that they're so reactive within their training, right? So it's like, I had a poor weekend driving, so they go get a driving golf lesson from Andreas, and then they just hit drivers all week, and then the next weekend they putt poorly, and they're like, "What the hell?" So I think it's important to
So I mean, again, right? If you only got 2 hours to practice in, well, then you don't have a lot of time to screw around, because you got 30 minutes for the full shots, you got 30 minutes for your short game, you got 30 minutes for your putting, and then you've got 30 minutes for developing. That's what you get.
Yeah, you got to do it. You can't. Yeah. I completely agree. I was talking to my place today, just missed out on Q school, and I was talking to him about his training, and he's just gotten really sloppy lately with his schedule, and being a little bit too reactive with what his training's been doing, and he felt like his chipping was in a good place, and his data was showing that, so he kind of neglected a little bit, and then this chipping let him down. So it's you
try to avoid that.
You got to get those connections to that club, like what you're saying.
Yeah.
Minimum, whatever that club is, you got to get connections to that club throughout that session.
Yeah.
So, I had another question that's kind of just left me. I remember I heard this once, Andreas. I thought it was really smart, really nice. It was about when people need to look at their training sessions, they should look at it from a golf ball perspective, and sometimes not even a time perspective. Now, what I mean by this is for the player who has so much time, and they go to the range and they go, "Oh, I got 3 hours today, so I'm just going to do 3 hours of work." And he said, "What about if I flip the script a little bit and I say, you've got 3 hours, but you've only got 60 golf balls today that you're allowed to hit?" I thought it was quite interesting to kind of, and then all of a sudden the mindset completely changed. The player went in behind the ball, started doing their rehearsals, and every shot was a prized possession because they they didn't get an opportunity to drag another one in. I thought that was a really nice way of looking at it.
Yeah, Marcus does that. He practices his technique 15 balls a day. That's what he gets.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really...
He sets aside 15 balls for his technique.
And that's prescribed by you, or he decided that himself, or?
Yeah, I think he thinks that that's plenty. He goes, if I only practice my swing with hardly any regard for where the ball's going, if I do it for more than 15 balls, I start to kind of lose sense of the ball flight. And I also end up losing concentration if there's 30 balls sitting in front of me. Yeah. So I want the most quality I can. So I just set aside 15 balls.
Well, this is a good little segue here, because something you just triggered something in my mind, right? Is that another friend of mine who I used to work with, absolutely great golfer. I never met someone who could just turn it on so quickly, right? And he was come from a system, so he was Gary Edwin, the right-sided golf swing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So his name was Taylor Cooper, and Gary Edwin said he was the best ball striker he's ever taught, right? And so Taylor came from a system, and he knew his golf swing inside and out. And that's one of the things I sat with Gary once, and I was talking to him, and he said, the thing I like about Taylor is that Taylor knows his golf swing better than anyone else in the world. I thought, wow, it's interesting that he said that, right? And I remember one time I was working with Taylor, and I said, haven't you got New South Wales Open tomorrow? You haven't hit a ball all week. And he goes, no, don't worry about it. So he goes down the range, hits he goes, come down, come watch me some shots. Hits 20 of the most purest shots I've ever seen. He goes, I've still got it. Goes to the golf course next day, shoots 8 under, and he's leading. Has not played all week. But why I'm telling you this story is that he's come from this systematic approach, right, where he knew his golf swing. So that's why I'm kind of segueing into Marcus here and the way that you kind of coach. Do you think that helps as well? Because he knows where things need to be.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think that. I think that's some of the common denominators from the best players is that they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Or at least they know what happened when something went wrong. I think I see that in good players the most. It's not the bad shot that frustrates them. It's when they don't know where it came from.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody hits bad shots. It's just oh shit, there it was. I think a lot of people don't have clarity, or they have the concept wrong, or they have something wrong of where did that bad shot come from. I think you look at it, right? You look at it technically, you can't. I mean, the best players in the world don't necessarily have the cleanest technique, do they? Mm-hmm. But I do think they know what to do. And they think they know when they hit a bad ball, okay, I know what happened. Don't worry about that one. I just hit it off the heel. I do that every now and then. Then they have some sort of control system that I don't know what it is, right? But it could go I need to feel my hands are closer to my left pant pocket, or I just got to feel like I'm towing it a bit more, or whatever the hell they do.
Yeah.
And then they go back up and then they hit again, right?
Yeah.
Now that also becomes the problem sometimes if you start getting taking a lot of lessons from a lot of different people, is that all of a sudden that whole feedback loop starts breaking down. And it could also be that when you, same thing, if you start I hate when I'm hitting this, when my bad shot is this little weak one out to the right with my irons. I hate it. I hate that I have to take 3 clubs more into the wind, blah, blah, blah. Could you help me bring my spin loft down? So I don't have to hit 3 clubs more when I'm into the wind, and I can just take 1 club more, and I can just hit a little softer, and then the wind doesn't take it, and go, yeah, I can do that. All of a sudden, when you're changing that, let's just say it's a swing direction is a little too far left, a face to path that tends to be a little too far open, an angle of attack that's a little too steep, a dynamic loft that's a little too high, and you start putting that on its head, you're changing everything. Mm-hmm. You're also changing the miss. And the guy who thought he hated that weak right one, he starts missing left and finds out that, you know what, I freaking hate the one that goes left more than the one that goes right. I can't do this. I thought this is what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I understand that 9 out of 10 are great, but the one that goes left kills me.
Yeah.
So And that might take a while. We might still make the decision that this is the better way to play down the road, but then you need to learn this because the entire feedback loop is new. I never miss it left, and now I missed one left. What the hell's going on, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of part of lowering the spin loft.
Yes. Oh, mate. Isn't that interesting? Because that's so interesting. Because the players
so you might not play better just because you're hitting it better.
Yes. I think a lot of coaches now are probably nodding their head. They've heard this scenario a lot, and where they've lost their identity, right? And B, now, before when they hit that weak right one, they weren't surprised about it. Now they're surprised about this thing, and they don't know how to play with it and miss it over there. And do you find you have to have that conversation with some players, Andreas, when you talk to them about their pattern, and they say, "Oh, that's that shot," and I go, "Well, that's kind of in your wheelhouse of your miss with your pattern." Do you know what I mean? Do you feel like you have to explain that sometimes? People are like, I go, "We can't. If we try fix that, then we're going to bring in X." Do you think that happens a lot, that conversation?
Yeah. You got to have a side, right? For sure. There's some people who just, as long as they're just missing it out to the right, they're good. They can always make the ball go more left.
Yeah.
And you have quite a few guys who hate missing it left, and they can always, the other way around, who hate missing it right. And you can just practice missing it left all day, and they can always add some right.
Yeah.
But you can't do both. I think it's important to understand that if you're hitting 10 shots and like one of them is really bad, it's a bad shot, and the other 9 are good, and you go, I hate that bad shot. Well, if we try to fix that bad one, we're also changing the 9 good ones.
Yes.
Like we can't just take that. Like that thing is part of what you do, and it'll happen every now and then. And maybe you can beat Dustin Johnson and just be like, "Well, it's just a bad shot. What are you going to do in the next one?" "Oh, I'm just going to do the same, and then I'm probably going to hit a good shot again."
Yeah.
And the guys that start like trying to fix ball number 10, all of a sudden that becomes like it can get pretty messy, right?
Yes.
So I think at the end of the day, I think the good players, they kind of sort of. They might not be right, like really, like when everything comes down to it, but the ball tells them they're right. Like, oh, I did that. Okay, I just do this, and then I'm good again.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love it. And I tell you a conversation, I was talking with a player a couple of days ago, a tournament player, and he just wants his 3-wood to go underground, right? He hates it getting in the air. Like he wants it knocking over people's knees.
Yeah.
So he puts the ball back in his stance and he goes, "Toby, I want to hit low." I was like, "All right, put a little back. We can change this." And he goes, "Now I'm hitting out of the heel." I go, "Well, that's what's going to happen, pal." I said, and then he goes, "I don't like it. It's coming out of the heel." I said, "Okay then. Well, we can adjust your setup a little bit. Move the ball a little bit further forward. Change your setup a little bit." So it's going too high now. I'm like, "Mate, what do you want?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "It's going too high now. Like, what do we want to do? Do you want the high ball? And it's not even high. It's just high to you." Yeah. Anyways, it's an interesting, and it's just dealing with the craziness, right?
Yeah.
Tell me, how was Marcus's year?
Not great.
Oh,
He's
really?
Out with an injury.
Oh no!
Yeah,
I should have done some research.
No, that's all right. He's been out since early summer, I think. He's got some shoulder stuff that they're looking into. And he's trying to get that 100%, and it's not at the moment. So he's taking it easy. He's just chipping and putting, and he can chip and putt, and then he can play golf left-handed. So I think he's down to like a 5 left-handed now.
Is it both shoulders or one in each individual shoulder?
No, left shoulder.
Left shoulder? Oh, damn.
Yeah, back left shoulder blade and stuff, but it'll be all right.
That's it's an interesting joint, the shoulder joint too, when you start really looking into it, right? Like it's an interesting joint on how it works.
It's just do a billion things.
Yeah, it's incredible. I think it's only got like 30% of it is actually like is attached. The other 70% is it's all mobile, right? It's in its own little state.
Yeah, and it can just do so many things. That's also why I think like it's very, very hard thing to measure in the golf swing, the actual shoulder.
Is it? Interesting. It is difficult. It is difficult.
It can do everything, right? Yeah, it's you don't get a whole lot of shoulder measurements because it's really, really difficult because it also connects to the scapula. It does all these different things, right? So it can rotate, it can lift, it can depress, it can adduct, it can abduct.
Yeah.
the shoulder can basically retract, it can protract, or the shoulder, like it can just do so many motions that it's really, really hard to gauge. I don't think there's anybody I haven't seen a 3D system yet that is very good at like doing the actual shoulder.
It's that isolates the shoulder joint itself. I think that's,
Yeah.
well, it makes a lot of sense though, to the reason why it'd be difficult to measure, because it's connected to everything, right? It's not isolated like the elbow or the knee or the wrist joint.
No.
It's
No.
difficult to measure. And there's a lot of misconceptions out there, right? Like how often do you open up Instagram and someone will be talking about external rotation of the trail shoulder and the downswing? You're like, hang on, mate, you're nowhere near it. You know, like there's actually misconceptions out there a lot around it too, right?
Yeah, and then you start screwing up the shoulder with the forearm, which is the supination, pronation, and all these different things.
Yeah.
And they kind of like kind of matters.
Can I ask, does he get a medical exemption for the year, Marcus?
I think so.
Okay, cool. And
Yeah.
and that's challenging for a player, right? To not be able to play golf all of a sudden.
No, it sucks. It sucks. What I'd say is the other way around is what sucks even more is probably playing injured.
Yes.
So, I mean, if you have to kind of pick between, you can't run away from the fact that the shoulder's not doing great. You've got basically two options. It's either getting it fixed, take a break, or playing injured. And I would say then looking at it from that, it's for sure the right thing to do.
Definitely a better scenario. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's just getting it, like, I don't know, like it's doing the rehab, getting it figured out. Then it's dealing with I think that's how it is with injuries. Like all of a sudden you might actually, if something has been injured, you'd pay more attention to it.
Yeah.
So whenever something hurts, you might think that it's still injured.
Yeah.
But it also might have been like, I might hurt my elbow, which I've never hurt before in my life. And I wouldn't think of it for 2 seconds. I was just like, I just kind of hurt my elbow a little bit. And now in 10 seconds, it's gone again.
Yeah.
Whereas when it's been something that's been injured, it could there's like a mental training component to it as well.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, tell me, can we talk about, is it Rasmus, your player on the Challenge Tour?
Yeah.
Tell me about the success he's had. Was this his first year in the Challenge Tour?
Yeah, well, first full year, right? So he graduated last summer from Oklahoma State University. Came home, he was ranked pretty highly in the world rankings. So through some management and stuff, he ended up getting starts on DP World Tour and the Challenge Tour. I think his very first start on DP World Tour was in Germany, and I think he was in the final group after 2 rounds. And I think he finished 7th. So he started out really well, right?
Wow.
Got like a mix of DP starts. I think he got 5 DP starts. He made the cut in all 5 of them, I think. So that was good.
Wow.
Then he got some Challenge Tour starts, and I think he immediately, like I forgot how many it was, like 5 or 6 starts. He got, might have been 7 starts, but I think he finished top 5 in a couple of them, which basically gave him Challenge Tour category for this year.
Yep.
Also got into final stage of Q School, where I think he made the cut, but didn't do anything particular there. So he had a full category for the Challenge Tour. So he's like, all right, now I know where to play. And then really early on, he won twice. He won in India and he won in Abu Dhabi. So that basically, not many, after 8 events, he basically already had 2 wins. He'd already locked up his tour card. And then, well, luckily, or I don't know if it was luck, he did gain like more than 8 strokes on that round, but he won in Germany couple of weeks ago for his 3rd event, got Battlefield promotion, and now he placed the last couple of DP events.
So good. Did he get to play in Wentworth last week then?
No, he's not close enough for that. He did get into Ireland. He's playing this week in Madrid. But he's got this, there's a weird category for it when you win 3. So he's going to play that, I guess, the events he get into, and then next year he's got a full year on DP. So it's pretty cool. It's been a cool journey. With him. He's good.
He must be pretty confident.
He is. He's always been. He, ever since I met him, what is he now? He's 25, maybe. I think I met him when he was 14. When we started working together. But I mean, he's always been good. I think he was, when he graduated high school, he was ranked like right around top 30 in the world.
Wow.
Then he's the best amateur golfer in Denmark at the time. Then he goes off to Stillwater in Oklahoma, shows up, used to being the best guy in his entire country, and all of a sudden he shows up, and you've got like Victor Hovland, number 1, Matt Wolff, number 2. Forgot the name of number 3 guy. Number 4 is Austin Eckroyd.
Maybe?
No, he didn't go there.
Oh, okay.
They were his teammates, like on his actual school, right? Like those were the guys that he was trying to beat to get into the team, right?
Unbelievable.
So he's practicing every day with Victor Hovland, Matt Wolff, Austin Eckroyd. Forgot the last guy's name, but there were like 5 guys battling for the 5th spot, and all of a sudden he can't get into the team.
Yeah.
He's also playing a golf course which doesn't suit his game, which is Carson Creek, because he used to be a fairly errant driver, really good iron player, really good wedger, but very errant driver. And that course, if there's one thing you need to do, is to drive the ball well.
Yeah.
So it took him a while to get acclimated to that. I think it was worth it because I think that course taught him what he needed to learn.
Yes.
I think it gave him some issues that because I mean, the thing is, I can look at a player and go, "You're a poor driver of the ball," and they'll tell you, "Yeah, but my results tell me otherwise." They might listen, but they're not really feeling it because you know what? I'm still winning, dude. Like until you get to a place where it's like, shit, it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
So we spent quite a bit of time over the years practicing the driver, having like a safe shot that he just knows he can put in play, like a low tee off the heel thing.
Yeah.
But then over time, developing a really, really good driver. He's been probably the best weapon in his back this year. But like he had 5 years. I don't think he played only sporadically for them the first 3.
Wow.
But was stubborn and was like, I'm gonna play here and I'm gonna make this team. I mean, he had the opportunity to transfer to all these great places. All these schools wanted him. He's like, no, I'm gonna play here.
Yeah.
Which I think is a really big quality.
Yeah.
Figuring stuff out.
Yeah, I love it.
I also think it helped him prepare. So when he actually turned pro, he was like I think deep down, I think he thought this year when he started the Challenge Tour that he was too good to be on the Challenge Tour.
Okay.
So it was more about like, all right, let's get this done. Like let me win these things in a hurry so I can move on to where I need to be. Right? Yeah. Which he's right. So, I mean, it's not like he was being arrogant about it. He was right.
No, it's a champion mindset. There is, he's obviously earned that right and he truly believed it. But it's interesting you talk about there, right? What a great school to go to because it sounded to me like, I'm not going to say like he was always number 1 in Denmark, right? So he was always top of the leaderboard, feeling great. I'm the man, and not really facing. I'm not going to say. I think not facing adversity is probably a bad thing, but I think going to that school and facing that adversity and that difficult times of trying to get on was the best environment. Like if he went to a school and potentially started dominating, and he probably could have gotten into his comfort zone a little bit potentially. Like I don't know the gentleman at all. And so what a great learning curve to go to a school that forced him to have to drive the ball better and work his ass off. And little did he know that he was in such great company of Hovland and Matthew Wolff.
I think he pretty much knew. Like he pretty much knew that like, okay, our number 1 and 2 guy are the best golfers I've ever played with in my life. And I think the year after they graduated, I think they both won tour events within like, didn't Matt Wolff in like his 2nd or 3rd start or something? Like he was like, okay, shit, like these guys I'm competing against, they're world class. Yeah. And they're also world class against the best in the world. Right. Yeah. So he also knew where he stood.
Yeah.
Which has been very, very good for him.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. And tell me, so you've improved your driving? What have you done?
Yeah.
What have you done?
What have we done? Well, we have done a couple of things. He is a ridiculously good iron player.
Yes.
Very, very good iron player. He's one of the few guys that I play with who actually shape all his irons in the greens.
Okay.
Like always, like he plays all 9 windows. He hits high fades, low draws, high draws, low fades. Like he hits all these shots depending on wind, depending on the pin position, depending on the green, depending on he's really good at it. Now to be that way, there's also been and I think most iron players they have a fairly large lateral move. to the left, so they can control the low point and do different things, not only in their pelvis but also in their chest, which has been. If he hits, and he can do that with a driver too. The problem has always become that if he wants to, like if he's standing on a launch monitor or seeing the ball, if he wants to hit like a really high one, his problem's always been that from like 3 to 4 to 5, he moves especially his left shoulder too far to the left, which is perfectly fine with a driver if he wants to hit a low one.
Yeah.
Now, the problem is if he does that, and in his mind's eye, he's got the idea of hitting like a mid-launch or a high-launch shot, he has to do something pretty crazy from 5 to 6 to 7 to actually do that, which leaves some balls really, really far out to the right.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of pressure, like a lot of practice on actually creating 2 golf swings. Like this is what you do when you hit a driver, and this is what you do when you hit an iron, and they're not the same. So it's been a lot of learning how to move the pressure forward with the driver without necessarily moving as much mass forward on the downswing. Committing more to, even though he draws his irons, committing more to actually fading the driver, but not necessarily fading it through swinging across the golf ball, but just fading it because he's catching it on the front side of the circle as the club is moving upwards and to the left, right? So he's actually hitting pull fades with the driver, but they're not spinning.
Yeah, I get it.
So with the higher he wants to hit it, the more he needs to pull fade it to catch it as the club's moving that way, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's been an ongoing process, and it's been a fun one.
Yeah.
Because he's like at the beginning of the year, he was freaking driving it well. Like really crazy good.
Yeah.
And then he shows up. It's not that long ago. He shows up like 2 months ago. He goes, "Dude, I'm driving it great. I'm sick of how I'm hitting my irons. I hate it. Can we improve my irons?" And I go, "Yeah, we can improve your irons." And we talk, like this is because there's a little bit of the driver pattern happening, blah, blah, blah. His low ball's missing. He can't hit the low draw like he wanted to with his irons, all these different things. And then we got to do this, got to do this. And I go, "But you got to be careful, buddy. Like if you start doing that and you do the same with your driver, it's going to be fairly mediocre again. Might even be bad." I think he plays like 2 events. I see him 2 weeks afterwards. He goes, "All right, dude, I've changed my mind. I'd much rather be great at driving it and mediocre with irons because it doesn't really matter how great I am with my irons if I'm hitting from the trees." I go, "All right, let's go back to it, right?" But so it used to be an either or thing. I think we fixed it. Yeah. So he practices his driver. He spends more time practicing his technique with the driver, but then we've started to add like an interleaving part. So it's like even like you practice 10, 15 balls with your technique with your driver, you know what the numbers should be. But then from there, let's go back and forth. Hit an approach shot, then go back and see if you can still produce that drive, and then hit another approach shot.
Yeah.
I'd actually prefer to be the low approach shots. So can you actually can you change?
Yeah.
He's very, very good at repeating, which becomes the issue.
Yeah.
Really.
That's so interesting.
So I think the education that you should move differently with these 2 things to hit different shots has been really, really good.
Yeah. And it's,
I mean, he gave 8 strokes in a round.
That's so much.
Down in Germany on the Challenge Tour.
On the Challenge Tour too.
Like on up game. Like through up game, gained 8 strokes in a golf round, dude. I've never seen that before.
It's nuts. I actually, I think I saw Scotty do something like once. It was a stat going around because he was putting really, really poorly, right? And his strokes gained off like tee to green was off its charts. But he's best ball striking year. That's incredible. So that's interesting about his driving. You talk about that there, like kind of sounds as well like you had to build an identity around his driver, like what to hit and how to hit it and what it looks like, because he had so much fun and creativity with his irons. It's so difficult when you're dealing with so much spin with a driver, right, and low loft, and then trying to hit all different types of shots with a driver is just sometimes it doesn't. I find that a lot more challenging than an iron, right? So
And I agree. I think the cool part was that, like, along the way through those 5 years of kind of struggling with the driver, together, I guess, he started to figure out shots where he's like, okay, this might not be like the optimal way of hitting a driver, but I can hit this driver straight.
Yeah.
If I tee it down and I hit it a little bit towards the heel and I hit my driver kind of like an iron, I at least know where it's going. It might not go as far, it might not carry as far, but I can put this thing in play.
Yeah.
And he still does that to this day. Like, he still plays that shot.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like we had nothing.
Yes.
Like, that shot, basically the course taught him to have something if he wanted to compete.
Yeah.
And then over time, we could kind of develop the other shots.
Yeah. Yeah. The toolkit.
Right? Yeah. So it's not like we had nothing.
Yeah.
I think the problem becomes when people are driving it poorly is they want it all at the same time. I want to hit it straight, but I also want to hit it the furthest. And I absolutely hate if the TrackMan tells me that I'm spinning it 300 RPMs too much and the launch is 2 degrees too low and the angle of attack is not where it should be because of some sort of sheet that says what's great.
Yes.
Well, you know what? What's great is putting the ball in play.
Yes.
First of all.
Yes.
And then afterwards, you can hit it further. It makes no sense hitting the ball further if you're hitting it crooked.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, I think that surprised me, like, watching guys on, hell, even DP World Tour. You watch Tommy Fleetwood, he's a pretty good driver of the ball. You watch McIlroy, he's a pretty good driver of the ball. And I don't think a lot of players shape the driver, like different shapes, but they for sure change the trajectory.
Yes.
You see a lot of change in tee height.
Yeah.
Even from the best players in the world.
Yeah.
You might not see it as much in the States because it seems like the course conditions are a lot of the same. But shit, you see it a lot in Europe.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't it interesting when you watch from experience, I'm sure, same thing there with Rasmus, right, is like, I talked to a player about optimizing his driver. We're going through the numbers. And then he'll just go hit the low tee ball. So put the tee down low, hit this little... And they hit it, they're so comfortable. You can even see, like, the nervous system is lowered. Like, they're just so relaxed. And it's like, oh, I can hit this one. Boom. It's like a little 290 peel, boom, boom, bounces, goes down thing. They do it with their eyes closed. They can do it mid-conversation. And you're like, man, that just looks so easy. Why aren't we doing that more often? You know what I mean? Like, why are we looking to maximize this to get, we're at 290 there. We might want to get to like 305, 310, but we're bringing in X, Y, Z and we're complaining. It's like, man, I don't have a problem with that 290 ball. You know what I mean? Like,
no,
and you're doing it so easy. You're doing it so easy. Like,
yeah, when it lands in the fairway, it rolls out even further, and there's not. I don't know. It seems to me like the players that I coach, at least, that the better they get as they walk through amateur golf, up through Nordic League, through the Challenge Tour to the European Tour, a lot more, they have to be more and more precise with their driving.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's more space, there's less consequence, the worse the level is they're at. So just like start on the Nordic League, hit it as far as you can, find it, advance it.
Yeah.
Challenge Tour, a little bit more narrow, but still hit it as far as you can. And then you get onto DP and it's like, yeah, we probably need to hit some more fairways.
It's so interesting. So like when Marcus is playing, or like just use Rasmus, we're talking about him. He's big ball to his gamer ball. What's the difference there?
Rasmus, there's not much.
Not much?
There's not much. No, I wouldn't say that there's a big difference. I couldn't tell you how far he hits it. Let me check. I'll have to check his stats. All right. I really don't know. Well, I know he swings at like 118, 120, which is actually pretty freaking far he's not big. He's shorter than me.
I always think about like
coach
DJ, like DJ's, for his big ball versus he's kind of gamer ball, like it's big difference, right? Big difference.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got guys like that too, who basically play at a ball speed of 188, 192, and they can get it to 205, 208 if they need to,
Jesus Christ.
which they would.
I thought you were going to go
Yeah,
I thought you were going to go the other way.
no, like that's and
Oh,
I mean, I'm in a I think I found out Denmark is like we're the second largest people in the world after Holland. So I guess it kind of makes sense that we, as a general rule, hit the ball pretty far because we're pretty big. I'm not, but
I have heard that actually. Where was that? There was
yeah.
some study gone out around
So
recently around that.
so this year, Rasmus is averaging 279 meters off the tee with a driver.
That's far
So
enough.
whatever that that's
10%,
plenty.
305 or something.
Yeah, and that's 53% of them within a 25-meter target.
Ooh, that's tight.
Yeah, it's pretty good, man.
That's far enough.
And that's based off of 663 T-ball drivers hits this year.
That's a good It's a good grouping. You love Up Game? Is that one you've always used that one?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. And all your
Yeah, it's been.
yeah, you go.
I think pretty much all the players I coach use it. I've got one guy who uses Statistic Golf from Eduardo Molinari. He's got the consulting team on board and stuff. I think that's really good. I think for a player who's not a millionaire, I think that's a little expensive. But for a tour player, yeah, I think that's good as well.
Yeah.
I've got one guy who uses Decade
Yep.
because he just he will not put his stuff into Up Game just because you think there's too much.
Yeah.
And then all right, fair enough. Put it in the Decade app. Like as long as you put something in, that would be
Yes.
number one. I would prefer it's an Up Game. I think Up Game's better for me as a coach.
Yes.
But I mean, I can see what I need to see. I think the cool thing about Up Game is that you can see not only you can see the dispersion to the flag or on the course, but you can also see the dispersion to the intended target line. And I think that's the really cool part is the intended target line dispersion, because that's really what we practice. When you stand on the range, we're hitting at some flag and we're trying to get the dispersion as tight as possible. So that's one part of being good at golf. But the other part is then where do you place the center of that dispersion when you play?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it makes no sense to me to aim, to measure this, distance from the flag.
Yes.
Doesn't make sense to me if you're not aiming at the flag.
100%. Couldn't agree.
And the same thing is distance from the fairway doesn't make sense to me because nobody rarely ever aims in the middle of the fairway.
Yeah. Oh, mate, couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more.
So I think on that part, I think Up Game's really, really good.
That's really good.
It's a little tedious to put stuff in, but I mean, you get if you want to get really good, you probably have to spend a little time doing that. You're only cheating yourself if you're not putting it in.
It becomes easier too. I used Draw More Circles, and my players.
That's good too.
Yeah, my players after a while get pretty comfortable with it. They get pretty comfortable and understand how to do it. It's a bit tedious at first, but once you get used to it, it's okay.
It's also a really good little review, of what happened today.
Yeah.
You have to at least sit down and think and where the hell did I place my ball and where did I do different things and I think over time, I think the input part is only going to get better.
Yeah.
So from what I read, I think a place like Statistic Golf, I think they've partnered up with Arcos.
Yeah.
As an example, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be ways where this is just going to punch itself in over time, which is going to make life way easier.
Yeah.
And I would be surprised if Up Game doesn't have something similar going.
I tell you what, Draw More Circles has got this unbelievable feature if you go the full premium package where it pretty much tells you how to play a golf course. So it gives you options. So it takes, I'm not too sure I've never looked at Up Game, but with Draw More Circles, for instance, you might go play Torrey Pines. You get to one and it says if you take 4 on off the tee, or if you hit it 210 yards, whatever, you're going to average 4.1. If you take driver, you're going to average 3.9. So it gives you, and it's pretty burko. It just tells you, gives you the options. Obviously, it gives you yardages and your options, and it's just gosh, it takes a lot of the decision out of it,
Yeah.
And
it's cool.
All right, let's do one of the segments. We're going to do a couple of these segments. So let's do the back to basics putting segment again. Back to basics. Putting mirror designed by Richard Woodhouse and Grant Field. Get your back to basics putting mirror using the link down below. Number one training aid I believe in golf is to have a putting mirror. Easiest thing you can cart around with you. Andreas, do you use a putting mirror?
We do at times.
Yes.
For some players, I prefer they do, just so they can be consistent with their setup.
Yeah.
Because I think the setup is actually, I wouldn't say it's overlooked in good players, but it can be really overlooked in lesser good players.
Yeah.
So we'll usually use it in like the mirror with two alignment rods of like where the feet should be and where the ball should be, just so you get really consistent in your setup.
Yeah.
So you know where to stay into the golf ball, so you can have a fairly consistent aim.
Yeah.
And you're looking from the same spot, right? So yes, quite a few of the players I coach have some sort of mirror.
Yeah. And for me, like using the mirror there and using the setup positions there. So what things are you looking for at the setup there? Are you looking for just eye line, chest alignment, shoulder alignment? Are you trying to get everyone as square as possible, or do you feel like some people are a little bit not?
No, I don't care.
Yeah, you don't care.
I don't care.
You don't care?
I'm biased because when I'm as square as possible, everything feels so far off to the right, and I hit it right. And I was a really good putter. So
Yeah.
I mean, I was probably my superpower as a player was actually being really good at putting.
Yeah.
So no, but I want the consistency of it. So there might be a while where we test like what's better.
Yeah.
I think usually I would find out, can they start the ball online, and can they start it? How close can we get where they're aiming to where they start it?
Yeah.
And from there we'll build it up. So where you place your eyes compared to where you see straight.
Yeah.
Would probably be the starting point, and then we'll start doing the tilts and the bends and stuff. I wouldn't like everybody square. I mean, it looks really nice when Cameron Smith putts.
Yes.
And he's a really good putter. And it also looks really nice when Jason Day does it. However, I feel like I've also seen so many guys who are really good at putting, who's especially like open stance lines, right?
Yes.
Like I think Brad Faxon's a pretty good putter.
Yes.
And there's nothing straight about him.
Crenshaw?
Yeah, right? Like the Lauren Roberts, like all the legends, right? So, I mean, I don't think that part is that would be a really hard thing to convince me that that's the reason why Cameron Smith and Jason Day are good putters, is because they set up square. Even though they do set up square.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I just don't think that's the reason.
I think something that has been said to me before about Cam Smith, that he's the best at aiming his putter. I thought that was interesting to look at it. And you don't have to be square to aim it straight, is what you're saying.
Mm. No.
That's very, very interesting. So what you're saying...
But you got to be consistent.
Consistent, exactly. So you got to measure this, right? Measure what works for you.
Yes.
I would agree that for me that I shared my personal experience around my putting was that I putted my best when I was open, hit little pushes, just shoved it in the hole all day long. And I didn't know I did it until someone told me. And then I tried to straighten everything up. And then...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, same putt lab completely ruined my putting for a couple of years. Completely.
Lining up.
I was putting my best, and I got on this thing, and dude went, "You're doing it wrong." And I was like, "Doing what wrong?"
Oh, no.
And he showed me my stroke, and I was like, "Shit, I didn't know I was doing that."
Yeah.
It was in the early days. It's probably 20 years ago now. The guy didn't know any better.
Yes.
Jesus Christ, I went through some bad stretches.
Yes. Oh, mate, well, putting ended up taking me out into coaching. I was, and if you reflect on some of my friends back in the day when I talked to them about my golfing, and they talk about how good a putter I was, I go, I don't identify with that person anymore.
No, and I think again, right, that comes back to, it's the same thing as like the long game, right? It comes back to the best putters. They know their putting, and they know what's good for their putting, and they know what's bad for their putting, and they will go, "Oh, let's measure it out on like some sort of measure." Nope, no. Why not? I putt worse every time I get my stroke measured. All right, good. Let's not do that.
Yeah.
How about we come up with a couple of drills and all these games you have to complete? Goes, nope. Why not? I don't putt better after doing these things.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you putt better? I putt better when I walk around and putt one ball. And I go through my routine, and I come up with a specific target where I want the ball to go. All right.
Yeah.
And then I use that as my feedback to, did I hit it too high? or hard, soft? Did I start it out of line? Did I misread it? And then I just keep playing that feedback loop over and over again. You go,
I like
makes
that.
sense why you're really good.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I think they're really, really good at like know what makes them good.
That's important. That's important. Good players, the worst thing they can do is be a sponge, right? I guess the worst thing they can do.
Kind of.
Yeah.
And
Taking on
I
advice.
try to educate my guys on that as well. I go like, don't send me like, if we're standing here on the range, you showed up, don't hit 20 balls and look back at me and go like, what do you think?
Yeah. I remember you telling me that last time, actually. You said,
yeah. So,
well, anyway, we'll ask that question after. That brings us to the end of the Back to Basics putting segment. Thanks for that, Andreas.
sorry.
So what we learned there, right? That's all right. What we learned there was that you don't have to aim square to putt good. I like it. I like it a lot. Hey.
You got to be consistent, though, and find out where the good spot is for you.
Yeah. Exactly. And we got to measure it. You just got to measure it.
Yes.
I don't. How many times a day do you get asked by someone and they say, "Oh, should I chip it this way?" And you're like, "Well, have you tested it?" They're like, "No." Well, go and do it for a week. Do 20 10-ball tests. Measure it. If it's better, let's do it. If not, I don't know.
Yeah.
And people say, "What if I not?" They go, "How do I know if I'm doing it too much or too little?" Well, what the ball's doing. If the ball's overhooking, then you're doing it too much. If it's not, you're not doing enough.
Yeah.
Pretty easy. So
I've got a couple of guys right now who is actually testing out, Sasha McKenzie's heads-up putting.
Yes.
Have you seen any of that?
I haven't looked into it.
Like he's done all these studies on like actually not looking at the ball when you putt, and how he's seen like so many people improve. And I've just because most of my guys, the guys that I coach that aren't good at putting, basically they're not good at putting because they don't like putting. They don't find it stimulating. They don't. And seriously, right?
Yeah.
So I've given them, so they have all these things they run through and all these drills and all these performance stuff and the things they enjoy. And I've just kind of planting a seed, and I don't tell them like what to do. I just go like, do 2 weeks of putting where you do your performance work like you normally would, and then do it when you are not looking at the ball.
Yeah.
And just come back to me. Like it's not even me telling them what to do. I don't care what they do really, but I want the feedback. How's it going?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And they actually find it enjoyable.
Interesting.
Now, some of them are too ego-conscious to go like, no, everybody's going to look at me weird. Like I'm the guy looking at the hole when I putt. And I keep convincing like nobody's noticing. But
No.
but we'll see. But it's also just to try some fun stuff out that might not be super intrusive. We're not really changing anything. We're just kind of changing where your focus is.
Yeah. And I don't have anything that backs this up, Andreas, but I've always felt this within my putting and, dealing with players is like some stuff can get stale with putting because it is so monotonous. And I always felt like, even if reflecting on my playing career, that I had the opportunity, like every 6 months I needed to change the putter grip, the way I gripped it, or the putter itself. And I don't mean that in, like, I know people use the same putter their whole career and all this stuff, but I felt like for me that just fired something inside of me. It was like it was time for a grip change, time for a putter change, time for left hand low. I don't know what it was. It just
no, but I think I kind of did the same thing. I rarely changed my putter, but I tinkered my setup a little bit. I would never really change my grip, so I'd always reverse overlap it.
Yeah.
But I would change like how far I would do it.
Yeah.
Or I'd change like where my right hand was over my left or where my thumb was, and I would kind of rotate these things around.
Yeah.
But I would also always have like a control mechanism, which was Pell's putting tutor. Remember the triangle one with the two balls on it?
Of course. Yeah.
My changes were always based off of that. So it was always based off of how close can I start the ball to where my face is aiming. Mm-hmm. So it was always based off of, okay, it feels the same. Nothing's really changed, but now I'm hitting this thing over to the right, or I'm hitting the ball on the left, or I'm not hitting it very consistent. So I'm just going to like rotate my hands a little bit. I might change the grip on the putter. I might do something, but it was always kind of, I didn't change stuff just to change stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
It was to make it perform this one skill better.
Yes.
was why I changed the technique.
Yeah.
Which were subtle changes, which was really nice. Then it felt new. It felt like, oh, this is completely different to normal, which was really just like that.
Yeah. No, I get you.
Right? But it didn't. So I don't think there's a problem with changing putters as long as you're not going from like a bullseye to a spider to a Newport to like those are totally different putters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree. No, I 100%. Yeah, I'm with you there. And when I mean that, when I was making a change, it wasn't just like, oh, I'm bored today and, 6 months on the calendar's gone. It was, gosh, I'm not having fun on the greens at the minute,
No.
And it's like,
and
sometimes just putting a different grip on or just tinkering with the grip a little bit, all of a sudden, just got things going back online for me. But it's just my crazy brain. It's probably why I stopped putting any good for after a while. Talk to me. I've got a couple of questions for you here, right?
all right.
Let's start with SG, right? Stephen Giuliano.
Yeah.
He said here, I asked you about this before we got on the podcast, right? Was about, he says a bit of a misconception out there potentially, people. I know Stephen's a very good friend of yours, about that you are a bit of a swing technique guy, but he knows deep down that you're not such a swing technique guy, that you're very big on building culture and you're very big on building players, was the term he said. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would say over time it has been true, right?
Yeah.
So I became a swing geek, swing technique guy as soon as I started coaching as I was an apprentice, because I didn't, first of all, people sucked at hitting the ball. I didn't know what to teach. I was never particularly good at hitting golf ball. So I wanted to figure the swing out, really, right? Yeah. So I spent a lot of time down through a lot of rabbit holes and found out for a while that if I just got people swinging the club better, they played better. Especially club golfers. Like as soon as they just made better contact, they would play better. Like they would hit the ground less before the ball and thin it less. And, hit it further. But that's also, I think it's an important skill as a coach, is to actually like know what the hell's going on. So when you make a suggestion on what to improve, you should have an expectancy that this improves this.
Yes.
Now, does that mean that if we just keep swinging it better, we'll play better? No, not necessarily, right? So I think that becomes the part where if you, at least if you're in my position, I've been doing the same thing for 11 years. A lot of players come in and out of our junior academy. A lot of them are really good, and at some point they're not as good anymore, or they lose interest, or they go to college and they meet a girl, or they find out that their degree is more important. And what you kind of find out as a coach is it's not super fulfilling, at least not for me, is if one becomes really good, if another 50 loses interest.
Yeah.
And they stop playing. So I think the job that, at least for me, I had to redefine my job and my job description, that everybody has to leave our academy with something. Yeah. Not necessarily, like some people will, like most will improve. Yeah. Some will go on to beat the world. That's great. Some won't. That's great as well.
Yeah.
But learn lessons through golf. Like learn how to be disciplined. Learn to do your best. Learn to be honest with yourself. Learn to support other people. But also learn to take responsibility for your own actions, right? And I think all these things are lessons that they can use for the rest of their life. And when they come back, and I see some of them with a baby on the arm, and now they're in pharmacy or they're school teachers or whatever, and they're happier than they've ever been, and they still look back and think about their time at the junior academy as the best time of their life, like that makes me just as happy as a player getting onto the DP World Tour, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I think that's number one. I think number two, as we practice, there's a lot of kids that come and go. And what I've found is it doesn't take many bad apples to ruin the entire culture.
Interesting.
And we've had times over the years where some of the guys, somebody's practicing something very difficult and they hit some bad shots, and another kid who's probably a little unsure of himself, he points and laughs, goes, "Oh, nice shot, right? You shanked it." And that's not like, have banter, make fun of each other, all this stuff. But on the other hand, if somebody's doing their very best and they're practicing something that's really difficult, it makes my life a whole lot harder if you're making fun of them every time they fail.
Yeah.
And I'm encouraging failing. So let's have a conversation. I have spent, I would say that I don't practice more with the best players in every group than I do with the worst players. I would say, like, help wise, golf wise, I probably help out the worst players the most because I think they're the ones that need the most help. But there's no doubt that I talk to the best players in the groups the most. And I try to coach them the most on how to be the best role models.
Yeah.
So if we're doing something together, if we're finishing off with a competition and we're playing 9 against 9, some sort of deal, and they're divided into handicap, I will tell my best players, if they're doing best ball chipping, like, I would prefer if you took one of the small kids as your teammate.
Yeah.
Just for these 9 holes, and just treat them nicely. Remember that you used to be because I think that can make the biggest difference in the world. And I think I'm fortunate that most of the kids that show up are raised very well. They're very well behaved, and that is important to me.
Yeah.
Because they represent me and our academy.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that I don't like if they have edge, because trust me, most of my guys have a lot of edge.
Yes.
But you're nice to the people around you.
Yes.
And you make the place a safe space where you're not being judged.
Yeah.
When you come to practice.
Yeah.
And if you are being judged, you're being judged on your effort. You're not being judged on your results. And I try to, if I can make sure that flows and that runs well, I'd say 50% of my work is done for me.
Yes. And that's a unique experience for you as a golf coach, because you are so heavily in that academy, because that's unusual to other parts of people, other golf coaches, if you know what I mean. Like, it's a unique scenario, isn't it? Like, in that regard there, compared to like the driving range rat who's just on the driving range just giving 1 hour lesson after 1 hour lesson. Like, you probably wouldn't have thought when you're so deep diving into your swing technique stuff that this was some of the stuff that you had to prioritize on a daily basis, right? And
No and yes, but I would say, I've said it always interested me. It always interested me why some environments were better than others. I would say I did read a lot of books that heavily influenced me very early on what a good practice environment looked like.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I would say, I don't know, have you watched the Netflix documentary on the sprinters? Is it just called Sprint?
No, I haven't, but I do watch a lot of stuff on coaches and coaching.
Okay, there's one on Netflix. It came up to the Olympics. There was like this 100-meter thing. They did it's like a Drive to Survive, but just with 100-meter runners with Noah Lyles and all these different ones. I would say we are a lot more like the MVP track club in Kingston, Jamaica, than we are like the American whatever training center they have.
Yeah. And
they don't even have a racetrack at the MVP track club.
Yeah.
And they just keep producing world record winners.
Yeah.
But they do practice together and they do make each other better. And I think that is, I know that's impacted me quite a fair bit. I remember watching, his name is Francis. I forgot what his first name is, the head coach. But I do remember watching this 15 years ago, interviews on this guy just out in a dirt patch creating world champions.
Yeah.
Going, all right.
That's cool.
Yeah, so the facilities don't have to be great to become really good.
Yes. Well, there's a golf coach. There's an NRL coach here in Australia. There's been discussions around him being the best coach of the generation of coaches, right, in Australia, not just in his league of NRL. And he doesn't give much away, but it's quite interesting. Some people underneath him sometimes share some of the nuggets and gold that he has as his coach, right? He's just known as the developer, right? He just develops all these players into gold. He picks them up off the belt. People don't want him, and he turns them into world beaters, right? But anyways, he has a hiring policy, and it's all personality type. And he's the most successful NRL team of our era, and he has a thing when he gets people, when they come to the cafe, he takes them for a cup of coffee, and they have to do two things. They have to say, please, and they have to say thank you when they order a cup of coffee. If they don't do it, doesn't sign them. Yeah, and that's gotten out. And this guy is like the world's best. Well, not sorry, the world's best rugby league coach. And he sits down and he goes like, he could have, you know, the best halfback or quarterback, whatever you want to call him, right, in Australia, and he'll go.
Well, it's the thing, right? And I think there's also, you also got to respect that there's a huge difference in culture.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing where I'm at can probably be copied and applied pretty much one-to-one if you are in the northern part of Germany, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, maybe Finland, Iceland. But that would probably be about it.
Yeah.
Because that would be the Scandinavian culture and the way we do stuff. So what I do in Denmark is probably not very relatable in Korea, or it's not very relatable in Australia, and it's not very relatable in India or in America or in South America. Not even in Spain. If I go to Spain and I wanted to do the same thing, I would have to adjust my principles because the culture is different.
Yeah.
So it makes no sense for me in general to go like, oh, they're doing this in Russia, I should do that as well. Or they are doing this in America, I should do that as well. Because I'm dealing with different people.
Yeah.
Who are raised differently, who come from a different culture.
Yes. Yeah.
So it has to be, I think we have a really big emphasis in Denmark with the welfare system we have on a whole human being.
Yeah.
So it's not do or die. It's not like either we succeed or we fail. And we are a country that is, what do you call that? We are doing well enough that we can afford to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have a safety net underneath where honestly, I think most coaches in Denmark, doesn't matter what sport, would all agree that yes, we're trying to be as good as we can be, but it's not going to be because of something else. Like we're not going to step on the next guy's neck to get to that goal.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. We're not going to drop out of school in 8th grade to pursue this. And then like, that's the lottery ticket that maybe like, we don't have to do that. So we don't.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like it. I like that approach. And I think that also offers a little bit of, freedom as well. And like a little bit of relief as well. And also not putting as much emphasis. You're not going to get that kind of burnout that we might see in some cultures, right? Where the people are just pulling up stumps really early in what they're trying to do because they're just burnt out. It's the be all or end all, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying this is what happened to Lexi, but what about Lexi Thompson just going into retirement? Isn't that unbelievable?
Yeah, dude. The same thing happens to a lot of the female tennis players, right?
Yeah.
Fair enough. If you can take 5 years out of your life to create like economic wealth that makes you set for the rest of your life. In general, it doesn't make sense to me to do something you don't really like doing.
Yes.
Doesn't matter. Like that might actually sound like a nightmare to me. Imagine being world class at something that you hate.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Seriously, like imagine being like the world's greatest savant at playing the flute.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you could fill stadiums in the entire world, and every time you blow into this thing, people start crying. Now, also imagine that you absolutely effing hate playing that goddamn flute.
Yeah.
It sounds awful.
Yes, it does. It
sounds awful.
No,
right?
Mate, it's true. Mate, I understand that. And well, it happens a lot with the female golfers. Not a lot, so we see it more often with them than we do with the male golfers, but there's more to life, right? But there's an incident here in Australia now where we've got one of our best rugby league players, Latrell Mitchell, and people are talking, does he still want to play? I'm like, man, it's crazy to think that, does he still want to play? He's in the prime of his career. You know what I mean? Like they're talking, and I'm like, oh, wow. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Let's get into some more questions. Okay, so Sam Phillips here spoke about, he thinks, well, he's seen obviously a lot of your stuff on Instagram, and he feels that a lot of your players unload the fourth accumulator quicker with the driver coming into the ball than what he thinks. Well, what he has seen as per. He's a big stack and tilt guy. Is that true?
They unload the fourth accumulator more with driver.
Earlier.
That's
what he's written down here.
Not on purpose.
Not on purpose. No. I don't think so.
No.
Because that would just...
I wouldn't say so. It's for sure not something we've practiced. So let's put it this way. I would in general, I would prefer the unloading of the fourth accumulator be passive.
Passive. Yeah.
So I would say that it unloads more if the chest accelerates and decelerates at the right time, that just becomes the next segment.
Yeah.
But I would almost look at it as like if I was just took my arm out of my left sleeve and I tried to throw it around me as fast as I could. So I'd look at the fourth accumulator almost like a left-handed frisbee throw.
Yeah.
Like how would I move my left arm?
Yeah.
I wouldn't think of it as like going that way. Now, could I unload the fourth accumulator by unloading the first accumulator, or how I move my right arm? Yes, for sure I could. But that would still, to me, not be an active fourth accumulator.
Yeah. No, makes sense.
But it's not something that I don't recall anybody I've ever practiced with where that's something we have practiced with a driver.
Okay. All right. Cool, man.
It might have happened, and it might have like came because of something else. I'm not conscious of it.
It's okay. All right. The next question. Bartho Golf. Have you managed to crack the code about players being more miserable the better they get? Can you tell me the story?
I'm working on it. Well, it's what I've just started to find, right? Like I get these guys that we're just progressing, we're getting better, we're becoming, I don't know, 13 years old. Now I'm a 2 handicap. I'm super happy, right? And now I'm 14 years old. I get to scratch. I'm super happy. And then I get into the boys national team. Wow, that's great. Then I win this event. That's great. And like over time, as players, I don't know what they're looking for. I think most of them are just looking to get better and compete against better opposition. But as the oppositions get harder, which for some of the guys, that's the hardest it's ever gotten now, is DP World Tour, it seems like the environments, there's more and more people getting miserable. There's more guys. I've never seen as many miserable people as I have on the DP World Tour.
Interesting.
People are happier on the Challenge Tour, and they're even happier on the Nordic League. I'm not saying that the DP World Tour is a miserable place to be, but I can see how it can end up that way because all of a sudden golf can become about a bunch of other stuff, right? All of a sudden there's more chefs in the kitchen, there's managers, there's sponsorships, there's club companies, you're all of a sudden you're feeding a lot of people. Yeah. Based on your performance, which is likely not why you started in the first place. That's probably not why you wanted to get to the DP World Tour and play the BMW Championship or the Open, was so you could support more people.
Yeah.
It was because you saw it on TV. It looked like a cool experience. That's where the best players are. I want to try that. And I think we can get caught up in it as coaches as well, because all of a sudden their livelihood is based off of what they shoot or their scoring average.
Yeah.
So that also means that a lot of the practice becomes about let's just get better. Let's 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 keep getting a little bit better every practice, which we should. However, maybe also getting better at practice. If we've got 3 hours, maybe spending 30 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe even an hour, just screwing around, doing something that's fun.
Yeah.
Which is why we started in the first place. Maybe that actually makes it a little bit more meaningful. So I'm working on it. I think I'm on the right track. I've got a list of stuff that I think makes pro golf more fun, or how to make golf more fun for professional golfers.
Yes.
That I just kind of have in my back pocket for like, all right, guys, we've done the work we needed to do. We've got 30 minutes left. Let's screw around.
Yeah.
Let's put the TrackMan up and let's see who can spin the ball the most with a shot that doesn't carry more than 15 meters.
Yeah.
Well, that's not very functional. No, that's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is just to spin it the most.
Yeah.
Let's do long drive competition. Let's do a chipping competition. Let's do putting competitions. Let's do there's a guy on one of the good guys. I forgot his name. He's got an Instagram where he hits these insane trick shots. Let's practice that shot. Let's try to hit this thing where Garrett Clark. Let's try to like bounce this thing and catch the one where he catches it on the downswing, where he hits this like low spinner. Like let's just hit that for a while.
Yeah.
Let's just do something fun.
Yeah.
And I think that actually puts a little bit more, lights up the bonfire a little bit more.
Yeah.
and they make sure they have a good time. And like, let's not all make it like the shitty marginal games.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. And yeah. And I think there's also a little bit of that psychological thing as well, is that there's no more after that. Like, they're on the DP. There's no more after it, you know? Like, there's some battle stuff there to kind of work your way through as well in regards to, you know, it's every other tour they're on is to get to that tour, essentially, right? Every other tour is to get off a tour to get to that tour. Yeah. So it's about, and I also find that I think it's so interesting when you talk about the training, how all of a sudden our training changes when we turn pro. Like, it becomes a lot more serious, and we're not allowed to do chipping comps anymore, because we've got to go do our you know, I've got to go see our short game coach, then I've got to go see my putting coach, and then I've got to go see my swing coach, and then I've got to go talk to my stats guy. It's like, fuck it, I'll just go play some golf. All trying to optimize your performance when really we should be looking at potentially making your happiness a priority so you can optimize your performance that way.
Yeah. Let's make sure we remember why we started in the first place.
Yeah, I like it.
And also, not only the player, but also me as a coach, which is, yeah, we try to do it. We try to have more fun. And I'm super mindful of it, actually.
Yeah.
And I have a couple of guys that I talk with quite a fair bit who are also coaches. And we always say, like, all right, next time I see you, you got to add 3 things to the list that makes professional golf more fun.
Yeah.
And we'll share notes, and we will do this just so we're not freaking like we're better than we ever have been, and we're crying more than we ever have. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. That's so interesting.
What the hell?
It's so interesting.
Because if that is what it leads to, then I'm going to stop as soon as they get good enough for national teams. I'm going to go, all right, I'm out.
Yeah.
Because we had a blast, and then I'm going to go to the next ones. But on the other hand, I don't want to quit that way, and I don't want to just leave it. I want to give it a try or an effort to make tour golf and professional golf for the players I coach as meaningful as humanly possible.
It's interesting, that, isn't it? Because, like, I can talk to a couple of kids at the golf course, and I'll say to them, oh, Toby, how's your round? And I'll say, did you have fun? I'm like, yeah, I did. Big smile on their face. They shot 100. Yes. And then you'll talk to another player, and we classify success on did they make the cut? And they didn't make the cut, so we're sad.
Yeah.
And we're sad.
Or I don't like the way I shot 67.
Yeah, and I'm sad. And it's like, well, hang on. Yeah, it's interesting. We're not having fun anymore.
What the hell, dude?
Exactly.
No.
Oh, mate. Yes. But then you're also dealing with very complex people, and when people are good, when people at the top of their game, they're unique as well, right? No matter what sport they're in, they're
for sure.
They're freaks. They're freaks. they got there. They're the 0.01%ers. That's interesting.
But if they thank me, if they end up, I remember speaking to Sean Foley about this a while ago. Yeah. If one of these guys ends up in like golf's Hall of Fame, and for some reason they decide to thank me in their speech, I hope they better not thank me for flattening out their left wrist or teaching them how to draw the golf ball.
That's really interesting. They wouldn't, though. Well, I can tell you now.
Probably wouldn't, but I hope they don't. Because if that's the only thing I taught them, I didn't do my job.
Yes, because my experience when I've talked to people who have been a tour tour coaches for a very long time, like Sean Foley couldn't be more anymore to help you with that. Well, I talk to you about that is that it's so much more than coaching, right? Like that same, or swing technique, that same coach I was talking to before, right, who has that hiring policy about the please and thank yous. Yeah. He said that his coaching, so his X's and O's on a weekly basis is less than 10% now. And he said that all goes to his assistant coaches, like specialist defense coach, attacking coach, and it's all about managing the environment and the people and looking after the families. And he said that's where 90% of his time goes, and less than 10% is X and O's. Well, that was quite interesting.
It makes sense to me.
Yeah, it was interesting when he put it that way. And that's where we see people who are great assistant coaches try to become head coaches, and they're not good at that. They're just the X's and O guy. But when they get into head coaching role, their whole script is flipped.
Yeah, you could say it like this. I became a golf coach because I really, really love the game, and I was curious about the game of golf.
Yeah.
Over time, I'm not saying golf bored me, but it wasn't enough. So I became more curious on the actual player.
Yeah.
And at the moment, the players are still interesting to me, but it's probably more the human being.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at right now. And I honestly think that if I get really good at that, I'm pretty sure I could actually coach. It wouldn't have to be golfers anymore. Now, that's just the avenue I use, and that's where I'm at my best. And that's where I know the most. But as long as we're just coaching human beings, then we can probably help out in other areas as well.
Yes. What does Butch Harmon says? He says, I coach people how to play golf, or something along those lines. No, I don't coach golfers. I coach people how to play golf. It was
Makes sense
play on words. Hey, I got one more segment, and then we're going to quit it up right here. So, one of the other sponsors of the podcast is Net Return Australia. Net Return, net used by Bryson DeChambeau and Kyle Berkshire. We've all seen them smashing balls into the net there. So this is your play at home, train at home segment sponsored by the Net Return Australia. Do you have anything, Andreas, that you can help us in regards to what a player can do if they are training on the run or training at home or training in a hotel room? Is there anything that you kind of have given a player or something they could do to get better while doing that?
Yeah, well, it depends on what they have available to them, right? So if they're hitting into nets, if they have a launch monitor available, you can do a bunch of stuff, right? You can do a bunch of distance control. You can get the club delivery feedback. If you have a good coach, you can relate that back to when I move the way I should expect the path to be in this area and the facing would be in this area. And if I can do that, then I can probably actually start hitting different distances. On the other hand, if I don't have any of that available to me, let's just say I'm in a hotel room, all I've got is my own reflection in a mirror or in a window or something like that. There's actually, if you go on, I guess this is a plug, if you go on my Instagram page, I did these through lockdown. I actually put some videos up. They're on like that little top thing where you can like store your stories.
Oh, okay, yes, yep.
Yeah, through COVID, like I actually threw up like a couple of training things on like how I think people could practice how they move, just to practice their proprioception on like where to put their pelvis, where to put their chest, where to move on the backswing, on the downswing, on the follow through and stuff, which is actually stuff we do. We're getting into it right now. Mid-October, we're going indoors. And from mid-October till the end of December, usually, we will spend 20 minutes a week inside of this little room we have with mirrors in it, where we are just moving ourselves better and trying to send signals from our brain to our pelvis, to our hips, to our knees, to our chest, to, all these different places.
Wow, so you've actually got time.
So I would find it there.
So you got time allocated to teach people how to train in front of a mirror.
Yeah, we do it as like the further away we get from the season beginning, like that's when we do it. And that would be as soon as we go indoors. So as soon as we hit January, we kind of stop just because there's such a large gap between that and actually playing golf.
Yeah, of course.
But I do think that we're putting some stuff in their backpack that actually helps them move better.
Yes.
Like long term. Because I don't think if they can't do it, if they can't even do it with a club in their hand, like how in the world are they going to do it without they can't do it without a club in their hand.
Yeah.
How can they do it with a club?
Absolutely. And I think I love that when you're looking into a mirror there that you could, I'll say to someone, I'd rather you do it 10 out of 10 than hit a ball and do it 3 out of 10. You know what I mean? So I'd rather you do it 10 out of 10 for a while and then start to get the motion down pat while just doing it in front of a mirror. And
I think people will be surprised, like 5-10 minutes every day, like how much better they could move their body.
Absolutely. I remember talking to a neurosurgeon about that, about the importance of doing something, especially when you get older, 15 minutes a day instead of doing like 1 hour a week or whatever. And I reckon on a daily...
Sending signals.
Yeah, sending signals. I reckon on a daily basis, Andreas, I tell people, go get a mirror, go buy 5 foam balls, and just hit them in your garage and send them to me. That's all I need you to do for now. I don't even need you to go to the driving range right now. So, yeah, I really like that. I think a mirror is an absolutely incredibly valuable training aid for sure. Well, that's brings us to the end of the Net Return Australia sponsored segment there. How to train at home. Thanks, Net Return. If you want to use the discount code down below, TM15 or TM10 gets you 10% off. All the discount codes are below. Andreas, I think I told you I was going to talk about your website, but I didn't talk about it. Well, we'll do an intro on it at the start. We spoke about it before we kicked off. Andreas, tell me about this thing that you started. What's going on with your website?
I've had some help to create a website. I've had it for a while, but it wasn't like, I'm not very good with that stuff. It's called andreascalligolf.com.
Yeah.
Now the point of it really is to help people.
Yeah.
I've ended up in a spot where I'm super busy. And I'm like busy in a good way. I'm busy doing something I really like doing. I'm helping people out. The problem becomes that there's only so many hours in the day. So what do you do when you are full? Well, I guess you can raise your rates. That means that you're just going to be helping out richer people. That doesn't make it more meaningful to me. And I'd like to help out more people. I've had a bunch of coaches who reach out who wants to know more of what I do, which I have never really revealed besides if you go to like a seminar of mine. So what I've done in the website is that I am slowly opening up a web shop. In that web shop is going to be a boatload of videos that you can purchase. The first one is a more than 8-hour seminar from Orlando that I did this summer.
Yeah.
Where I'm covering all the things that I think is important. This is primarily for coaches. Over time, a lot of people that reach out to me are golfers who just love playing golf and want to improve. And again, I fully understand that if you want to get an online lesson with me, it can get pretty pricey. It's pricey because of the hours that I have available. So I wanted to do something where I could help more people at a cheaper rate. Now, it's probably not going to be as personalized, but it is going to be personalized to the issues that you have in your golf game. So if you want to learn how to add more right to left curve to your golf shot, I'm going to give you my favorite ways of doing it, the ones that I use every single day. If you want to add more right curve to your golf shots, I'm going to use the ways that I use every single day, and I'm going to explain them, and I'm going to do these videos on like how I do this, what I look for. You got to check yourself if you're doing any of these things, and I would practice like this. And if the ball's doing this, you need to do more of this, or you need to do more of this. How to add club speed, how to add spin, how to. I've had people, like a bunch of people, reach out and go like, "How do you practice your leg work?"
Oh, wow.
And I go like, well, kind of do it over time, like related to the ball and all this stuff. I'm going to do at some point, I'm going to do like a 1-hour video on exactly what I think happens underneath the feet. What happens around the knees, what happens in the hips, what happens in the pelvis, so people can go, okay, that's how it's done, right? So I have these things, so I can use them also as a tool, so I can refer to people, and I can go, you know what, somebody sends me a swing, and they go, like, on Instagram, right? What do you think? Well, normally I think it's pretty good. Depends on what your ball's doing.
Yeah.
I could see this working. Yeah, but I'm having trouble with this and this, right? All right, good. Go to this video.
Yeah.
Right now, the only thing I have is from way back, which is on YouTube, and it's in Danish.
Yeah.
So it's only, and there's 150,000 Danish golfers. Those are the only ones that can really get anything out of those.
Yeah.
And it turns out most of the people that reach out to me are not from Denmark. So I would have to do something more. So really, it is over time. It's going to be me putting in a boatload of videos.
Yeah, it's great.
For coaches and for players where I think I can help more people enjoy getting better at golf, help grow the game, help improve people, and actually feel good about myself as I do it.
I think it's great. You've got a lot of to share, you know, and I was talking to you about this beforehand, and yeah, we don't have to go full SG on it and catalog it and make it perfect. Just turn that camera on and get talking, Andreas, because whenever you talk and you get into a subject area, like I want to share to you whenever I listen to you talk and I watch your seminars and every time you put something up, I'll watch it, I'll listen to you talk, is that you explain it so well, right? And it comes across. It always makes sense to me. Do you know what I mean, Andreas? Like sometimes I listen to some people talk about stuff and I go, fuck, what are you on about? You know, where are you going with that? But whenever you talk about it, you do it incredibly clear. And it's like that, Einstein said, he's like, if you can't make the complicated sound simple, then you don't know what you're talking about. And I don't mean that in a way in regards to like...
No. Well, I think to be honest, I think that's comes from two places. I think whenever I'm not doing something,
Yes.
I think a lot about golf.
Yes.
Like I think about my coaching at least, not on purpose, but at least 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
When I wake up in the morning, when I take a shower, when I go in my yard, before I go to bed, when I drive my car, I think about this. So there's a lot of reflection. And number two, which I think is a huge advantage to me, is that I actually have to explain some really complicated shit to 10-year-olds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which if I add too many words or sentences, they're looking at me going like, I don't know what you're talking about. And they're going to be honest with me. They're not just going to nod and go, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
They're going to go like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I think that really helps me sharpen it up.
Yeah. No, it's great. You do a very good job of it. And considering it's not your first language,
Thank you.
What? It's not your first language either, right? Which is also...
No, it's Danish.
I know, which is crazy that you can do that as well. Like I even had a student the other day just an online student, right? And his technique needs a lot of work, right, Andreas? Like a lot of work. And really tall guy. And anyways, I thought I thought about it for like a couple of days. How am I going to work this guy? Where are we going to start? What are we going to do? Which way are we going to go about it? Anyways, he sends me a question back and he said, what about my shoulders? I'm like, don't worry about it. It's not a problem. What about my hip movement? I said, mate, don't worry about that just yet. He's like, what about my head moving? I was like, mate, seriously. It's like, do you want to know everything? And next thing he sends me a message, I need to know everything. I'm like, mate, you are going to lose it. You know what I mean? Like lose your head.
I had a guy, I actually had a guy 2 days ago who came in for a lesson.
Yeah.
He booked me for an hour and I've never met the guy before. And he goes, club golfer, I just need you to tell me which one of my swings I need to use.
I love that one. Yeah, that's so good.
It's like, how many do you have? I've got about 9. I'll go, all right, let's run through all 9 of them.
Wow.
We'll take the one that's close.
Were they much different when you had him on the tracker?
The club delivery was, you could still tell it was him every single time, but the club delivery was very different. Yeah. And there were some of them where he's a lot closer to something good, and there were some of them where he was certainly doing something that wasn't very good.
Yeah. That's always an interesting lesson, that one. And I actually, sometimes you can get that out of people when you talk to them, right? Like it's like, what are you trying to do? What have you been trying to do? Like what's happening? Like, what do you think works? What do you think happens? And you can get them to work it out for you. I tell you what I actually started doing was I started just doing this. I know we're running out of time here, but a pairs lesson to try and help people who can't afford to see me for an hour. So let's split the hour up in 2, just try and help a lot of people. And I tell you what, that's a whole nother skill. I haven't given a half an hour golf lesson for 5-6 years. That's a whole nother skill level in itself.
It's all I do.
Half hours?
No, I got 6 guys showing up for 3 hours. That's what I do.
6 guys at a time?
Yeah.
For 3 hours? Oh, yeah, with your class, with your thing. Yeah, but these were two brand new people. I didn't know them. I didn't even know their names.
No, I got you.
And I was just like, I used to just ask a lot of questions, take my time, and I'm like, far I'm 15 minutes into this. We better start hitting it. Anyways, I'll let you go. Andreas, you've been great with your time. I'll let you
appreciate it, Toby.
I'll upload this.
I've got another thing coming up now, so I kind of have to go.
I'll put the links down below for anyone who wants to find out and see where you're at. I'll talk to you soon, Andreas. See you, brother.
Cool, man. I appreciate it, Toby. Had a blast.
Thanks, man. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.